Hell yeah. Nice. Well, I'll try to put a loop together, but I can't get this thing to stay on time. Oh well. I'll come back to it. Hello. Hello. Hello, Amanda. Or Armando. I'm blind. I slept all day. And I'm poor. So I gotta get monetized. The only way to do that is to play as much as possible. I'm really close. Well, I've always been psychedelic. I just I didn't know how to use the pedals yet. My whole entire plan has always been to be psychedelic. I just didn't know how to use the pedals. I never started writing shit until December. Nice. What kind of stuff you guys playing? I have a huge bass addiction. I've played 4 to 5 hours every day for 10 years or more, you know. Once you start playing all the time and you start getting better, it gets addictive. Then it just becomes like fucking something to do. I ain't got no kids, ain't got no wife. Exactly. Originally, um, I just wanted a way to have recordings of my shit on the internet when I started doing shorts. And then I started doing, I saw my live stream came up because I had enough subscribers. And I thought, I want to try that out. And then I think Rusty came like the second time I live streamed. And then I just kept on getting people, so I just kept on doing it. I didn't even have any songs. I just had a handful of things that I wrote most of it on live. I had a bunch of jams, but just chord progressions I practiced over, you know. So then I got the effects pedal, and that opened up a whole new thing. Hell yeah, I love blues. Like when I was playing bass, before I knew any kind of theory, I could jam blues with anybody. I could jam almost anything though, but mostly because just knowing them patterns, you know, I got by on them and the E minor pentatonic. I got by on that for fucking 25 years. I've always been able to play though, I guess, but I haven't got decent until the last 5 years or so. I mean, I don't think I'm that good, but 'cause I know all the holes in my playing. I got a lot of work to do. It never ends. That's the whole key. How old are you? If you gotta know the notes, even if you know absolutely nothing else, if you just know the notes, that will get you by. And then when you start doing theory, it's way easier because you already know the notes. If you gotta learn both at the same time, it's tough. 46. I'm 45. I learned the notes when I was a kid. I bought this book when I was a sophomore called Arpeggios for Bass. And then I remember I didn't even know what an arpeggio was. And that book opened my whole eyes up. And I learned all the notes. I remember being like 20 years old and I knew all the strings but the G string. I still had gaps, and then I went through and I learned that one again, and it took me a while, about 2.5 years. Yeah, you know major scale. If you just know the major scale, like I was saying earlier, and you just do sequence patterns. Sequence patterns are the best thing I've learned because it keeps you from playing just straight up and down all the time. You just skip a note, like skip the D, and then come back to it after you go through the rest, and you skip the third note, go up the scale, come back to that third note at the end, and you just do different patterns like that. And that will open up your playing a ton. Sequence was will, and playing in thirds, like just all them little sequence patterns. And if you don't even know the notes, if you just know the pattern, and you can still do sequences. It goes both ways. You don't have to know all that stuff. I just choose to. I have to know it because I ain't good enough to not know it. Some people don't. I got a buddy. He can hear something and he can play it. He doesn't need to know notes. But now I can do both. When I'm improvising, I'm just listening. It's like listening to a radio station. You just hear what you're playing as you play it. It's weird. It's really weird, honestly. Yeah, I love Rage Against the Machine. Bulls on the Parade's pretty easy. It's just octave. I get that effect off. But it's really fun to play. Yeah, and if I was you, you learn the notes in the first 5 frets first, and then the next five, and then the next, because it gets easier as you go up. Because these notes are your open strings, same notes, A, D, or A. I'm sorry, it's not the same notes. That's up here, but this is still A, D, G, C. But it starts repeating, is my point. And when you get up to the 12, you only got to learn the first 12 because it all repeats. So if you start in the first 5 frets, it's a lot easier. Instead of trying to go, I mean, you can do it either way, honestly, I guess. But I think you get more because you get all the strings done in that area. But yeah, that's how I did it too. But um, when I got into the arpeggios, I started doing them 5 frets at a time, and then that sped it up because I was jumping around so much. I was lazy for years about it. And people will always say that it kills your creativity and all that, but that's just because they're too lazy. I was lazy. It only helps you in every single way. It is overwhelming. That's what I mean. If it's overwhelming, then you're going too fast. You got to slow down and take it. Like I said, two notes at a time. If you can't start off with two notes and then three notes and four notes, and don't try to do it all at once. It's overwhelming if you do it. When I went back in 10 years ago, I told myself I was going to learn the theory, and I was feeling myself going to quit, so I just broke it down even more, and I just kept simplifying it. And like instead of trying to learn all the modes in a week, you can't do that. You can't just go through and learn. You got to start with one, and then you got to jam on it. You got to make stuff up and jam in that, and then you learn Dorian mode, and you work on that for a month, just the Dorian mode, and then the next mode. Don't try and get them all in a day, or else you're just gonna quit. I've done it so many times. If you break it down, it becomes fun. You just start making stuff up. Then you learn it in progressions. Like I learned the 2-5-1, which is, and I would just play that. I played that for months, just practicing the D Dorian to the G Mixolydian, and it sunk it in so good. Just playing that one, and I just made up different solos every day. Just that one thing, and then it burnt the sound in my head. And after that, everything was easy. I focus on that one spot. Yeah, it's like I'm trying to teach online, and it's hard because I don't remember what it's like to be a beginner. So it's like I keep finding out I need to go further back than what I'm doing. Because you do assume that people know a little bit, and some people don't know anything. But on the other hand, I'm teaching online. I can't always just teach for beginners because other people are more advanced, and I know a lot of more advanced stuff. There's a lot of beginner stuff on the internet, but there's not a lot of advanced stuff on the internet. Yeah, the language is very important to know. That's the most important. You got to start with the major scale and just get that major scale down. And they tell you 12 keys. I did one key until I got that one key down. I think a lot of times people go way too fast. They just go way, when they're teaching, it's just overwhelming. And then once people start catching on, then you pick it up. Then you start speeding up real quick. Once you get a scale down and you get the modes down, all the other keys are easy then. A lot easier. It's a lot to know though. It is. It never ends. Yeah. And I played so long, you forget what it's like. I can't remember what it's like to not even know the notes because I've known them my whole life. I better play something. Like this song right here, it's just F sharp Dorian. I wrote it just for the purpose of learning that scale. And then I mix in other shit too now. It's basically E major, but I center it around F sharp. The slide started because whenever I fucked up, I would slide and it's to cover up my mistake. And I started thinking, oh, that sounds cool. So then I just started sliding all the time. And I started noticing dudes like Scott Devine. If you watch Scott's bass lessons, he's always doing some kind of slide whenever he's picking a note. A lot. And I started hearing that in all the dudes, like Stevie Ray Vaughan. When you hear Stevie play, he's always got vibrato going or something. It's just something to keep a groove going, I guess. I just kind of started picking that kind of stuff up. Like if you listen to Stevie, he's always playing something, even if he's not playing anything. Hello. I just started noticing stuff like that I was lacking in. But that song's basically F sharp to B, but it's out of E major. But I'm playing around the Dorian mode, which is this. It's still E major, but you just center around the F sharp. And then I just wrote that little melody. And then whenever I got lost, I just come back to that melody. And then slowly I got better at it. If you go all the way back to the beginning of my lives, the songs are way different. Things taste like shit. Thank God they would. And I started learning chords on bass, and that really helped me. All these, like the dominants, minors, then the inversions. Like this is all D minor. All three of them. If you're starting on the F, but you're still playing a D up here and an A here, it's still a D minor. And then this is from the A, still a D minor. I learned all that shit. And then the arpeggios. Once you get the shapes down, it's not too bad. They repeat. Yeah, I, I, I do it for like interest, and so you can't tell it's so extremely easy. which a lot of people do that. I've noticed over the years. I write more modal music than anything, which modal is always just a few chords, sometimes just one. I got that from Miles Davis. Watched a lot of his interviews. That's one I ain't played in a long time, man. I'm gonna play it now. No, I ain't. Won't wait a little while. Gotta practice that. Yeah, I'm the same way about covers. I learned a lot of them, but anymore I don't have really any interest in it, other than stuff like Bach and that kind of thing. At some point, you got to write your own stuff. I'm 45. I figured it's a good time. Or else it's never going to get done. Well, shit, I'm going to jump off here because I want to try to go to bed. I don't want to sleep all day again. Oh, I want to check that out. I love Billy Cox. Like I said, Isabella, there's a song called Isabella. It's on, it's not Peoples and Hell's Angels. It's another album that they put out after he died. And it's the only version of that song that he plays it that way. The other version's not nearly as good. It's like how's it go? Shit. Forget it now. Something that's, I don't know, but it's bad. Nice. Isabella, yeah. Isabella. It's so bad. Shit. I used to know it flawless. It's been a long time. I don't even know anymore. It's so bad though. It's a tough line because if you don't play it, as you can see, if you fuck up, you can't. There's really no way of not making it blatantly obvious that you fuck up on that song because it's like just the way it's written. Some songs you can cover it, but I always liked the. I always liked Band of Gypsies album, Machine Gun. That's so bad. All of his stuff. Castles Made of Sand. Yeah, I had that song mastered for a long time. I played it all the time for a long time. I just haven't played it in a while, a couple of years. And shit like Santeria. don't know if I've heard that live at Fillmore East. Oh, Buddy Miles is bad. He's like fucking the old jazz musician. I could be a drummer because I hear drums in my head, and I just know if I got a drum set by tomorrow, I could have a song written. I can play piano. I mean, I can go to my brother's house and write a song on the piano, but I can't really play a piano. But I can compose a song on one because I know chords. I've done it. One day I sat down and learned Great Balls of Fire. You know, a whole lot of shaking. That I had it down in about 6 hours. I was even getting the solo down. I sat there all day playing it by ear too. I'll check it out. I like that's one of the funnest ones. Oh, I've heard all the Jimmys. I'm bad with song titles a lot, but I've heard most of it. That comes from having an iPod. When I had CDs, I knew all the stuff. When I got an iPod and it was always on random, and then you got how's that go? You got a lot of good bass line. No, Redding was bad. Angel's a good bass line. I don't even know that anymore. I don't think I ever learned it right. I'll tell you, a wicked song is Marvin Gaye. I heard it through the grapevine. That bass line is so sick, and it will make you think that you know it until you play along with it. And his syncopation is so crazy. It has so much soul to that line. It's crazy hard. You just got to put on the isolated track and listen to it. James Jamison was so good. It's like I can't even play it anymore. I could never play it right to begin with. Yeah, Marvin Gaye's so bad. His voice gives me chills listening to him. Man, I ain't been getting no views on YouTube this whole month. I was getting thousands. It's like they filter you. They shut you down. And I've been seeing that trend forever, but this month has been the worst. Usually by now I would have over 1,000 views. Yeah, I think I've heard of that one. I'll tell you another good bass player, the dude from Stone Temple Pilots. That's one of the best. I learned so much off that dude. That dude's so good. Yeah, it's a bunch of bullshit, dude. I'm telling you. It's because I'll go around and talk about political shit, and it's like they censored me. When I comment on stuff, no one can see them anymore. And now that I started a channel, it's like people can't comment on my shit. And then I'll get a bunch of views and shit, and then they filter you. And now lately I haven't been getting nothing. You know. I'm about to switch over to Twitch, honestly. I'm trying to get monetized because I'm real close to being monetized on YouTube. And then I'm going to do like half and half. And then maybe switch over to Twitch full time. Yeah, it's like they don't want you to do anything. No, I've got 4,500 subscribers, but in April I went way up, and then in May it's like they just put on a fucking restrictor. You can't call nobody, you can't call anybody. I tried to call them about my comments because people say they can't comment on my stuff, and there's no phone number, and the phone number that is there says it's out of service. So they tell you got to go to these help forums, and they don't answer no emails. They don't answer shit. It's a bunch of bullshit. What happens when they owe you money? I'm gonna be a mad motherfucker. If they owe me like $500, I can't call nobody. I'll be monetized by next week on super chats, and then I'm already over 3,000, but they're always a week behind. So I'm getting close to the 4,000. Then I'll be fully monetized. But I bet you they restrict me even more. It is. It's owned by Google. YouTube is. I don't know if you knew that or not. That's a monopoly, in my opinion. They shouldn't even be allowed to. It's like 15, $18 for every 1,000 views you get, which would be for me, if I was getting what I was getting, about 60, $70 a day, plus the shorts and all that. So it's not that much money, but to sit here and play bass is fucking awesome. That's why I'm on all the time, because I'm trying to get monetized. Yeah, if I can buy a new bass with it. But in May, they changed the algorithm, and I've seen it, like it's just gone way down. And it gets worse. hmm But if I get streamed with like 3,000 views, that's $45. But every time I hit 3,000, I've done it like 8 times now, 9 times. As soon as I get above 3,000, oh, the very next time I stream, I'll get 500 or less, and then it will stay at that. And then I'll have to go back up, and then I'll get back up to 3,000 again, and it will go back down again. It just repeats it like that over and over. I've been doing it 6 months now, 5 months, every single day. Ain't missed a day. Yeah, I'll figure it out eventually. I want to see what Twitch does. Well, I noticed a lot of the dudes that I watch, bass players that I learned off of, like Yannick Gonzalez and dudes like that, they all switched over to Twitch, and now I see why. It's because they were getting screwed. Yeah, if you're fucking for Joe Biden. It's it's going to be crazy in 10 years. I'm telling you. Wait 10 more years, and we won't even recognize this place. I want to jump off here, but I'll be back on about 11. I want to try and sleep a little bit. I got a weird sleep schedule. I was on third shift, and then I tried to get back sleeping at night, and now lately I've got back into staying up all night again. I can't break it, but I got to go back to work next week. So I got to get up. All right, I'll see you, man. Take it easy.